to lead us in prayer. MP Ustads Muhammad ba?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وقال ربكم ادعوني أستجب لكم اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين حميد مجيد اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا في هذا المقام إلا غفرته ولا مريضا إلا شفيته ولا حاجة من حوائجنا في هذه الحياة إلا أنتنا على قضاء يا رب العالمين اللهم إنا نسألك من كل خير ما سألك منه نبيك وحبيبك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ونستعيذ بك من كل شر ما استعاذك منه نبيك وحبيبك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ربنا افرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب.
Salamat Ustads. We will now sing the national anthem and the Bangsamoro hymn.
Alhamdulillah, walang pipigil sa damdamin, mga pangako'y tutuparin. Habang buhay kami sa'yo'y magbabantay, mananatili sa puso't isipan. Ang kahapong humiblay na nagbuwis ng buhay, nasa piling na ng may kapal. Bangsamoro ay tagumpay, bunga ng pawis, dugo at buhay. Kapayapaan, katarungan ay ating nang nakamtan. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, magpalain Bangsamoro.
Uh, may I request the Secretariat to call the roll?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. May I request all the honorable members to say present once I call your name. Chairperson MP Attorney Raisa H. Jujuri, Vice Chairperson MP Engineer Aida M. Silungan, members MP Sir Rahman A. Adyong, MP EDM Ali,
Present.
MP Attorney Suharto M. Ambuludto, MP Engineer Baintan Ampatuan, MP Attorney Ana Tarhata Isbasman, MP Musa Ki Diamla, MP Attorney Maysara D. Latif,
Present.
MP Attorney Jose I. Lorena, MP Jamil D. Macaraya, MP Gaddafi G. Maundadato, MP Amil Bahar Ismawalil, MP Attorney Russell E. Mitmog Jr.,
Present po.
MP Attorney Ubaida C. Pakasim, MP Diamila D. Ramos,
Present.
MP Romeo C. Saliga, MP Attorney Omar Yasser C. Sema, MP Romeo Kisema, MP Attorney Paisalin P. Tago, MP Attorney Nabel Eitan,
Present.
MP Ajpar H. Usman, Minority Floor Leader, MP Attorney Liza M. Alamia,
Present.
ex-officio members, Speakers Attorney Ali Pangalian M. Balindong, Deputy Speaker Hatimel E. Hasan, Minority Floor Leader Attorney Lanang P. Ali Jr. Madam Chairman, based on the roll call, there are 2 physically present, 8 virtual present through Zoom, total of 10 out of 24.
Considering the number of members present, we can continue in the conduct of our public consultation. This time for the different sectors that may have an interest in the Civil Service Code of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region. So we will go through I think this is the last, except for the one-on-one session with the Civil Service Commission. We will update you on that matter later on. But this time we are consulting with different sectors after we have consulted with provincial governments and the leagues of local executives from mayor, vice mayors, councilors, and barangay officials. And early on, this morning, we also had a consultation with human resource management officers of the different provinces as well as the offices, agencies, and ministries of the Bangsamoro government. Itong pong bill natin ay nai-file last July 21 as a cabinet bill. It's bill number 59. No? Thereafter, it was referred to the Committee on Rules, and the Committee on Rules subsequently created a panel first to conduct the consultations for the Bangsamoro Administrative Code, and later on the committee decided that the same panel that conducted the public consultations for the Administrative Code shall also conduct the public consultations para po dito sa Civil Service Code. So this is where we are now at in the public consultation. Pagkatapos po ng mga public consultations, all comments, all issues, all recommendations will be submitted to the Committee on Rules. Dahil sa Committee on Rules po, magde-deliberate ang mga miyembro ng Parliament ng Bangsamoro, and they will submit a committee report to the plenary for further deliberation and amendments. So nandun po tayo ngayon sa public consultation. Nasabi na rin po natin sa ating mga na-invite po na resource persons simula Lunes hanggang kaninang umaga na we will welcome written submissions of your concerns, your issues, and hopefully also recommendations as part of your position paper to be addressed to the panel para po maisama doon sa aming collated na list of proposals and comments to be submitted to the Committee on Rules. So yung written submission po ay sana by Friday ay makuha na po namin kung hindi nyo padala ngayon. The earlier the better so that we can start collating po the positions of the different stakeholders. So now, bago po natin hingin ng posisyon ang ating mga resource persons, we would first want to hear from the Vice Chair of this panel, who also chaired the Cabinet Committee on the Bangsamoro Civil Service Code, and who supervised the work of the Technical Working Group in the drafting of the bill that is now submitted as Cabinet as Bill number 59. So Minister Silongan will introduce the Bangsamoro Civil Service Code, Bill number 59, and thereafter, I think the Technical Working Group will present to us some salient features po, yung mga mahalagang mga provision na gusto nating makita, at kung may issue po tayo ay pwede po nating ma-erase sa konsultasyon na ito. Minister Silongan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. To our honorable chair of this panel, our beloved MP Attorney Raisa Jadsuri, my distinguished colleagues in the Parliament who are physically and virtually present, our invited resource persons from different line agencies of the MILF, such as BIAF, Tarbiyah, Da'wa, Hayatul Ulama, SWC, UBJP, and representatives from different civil service organizations, the panel secretariat, co-workers in the Bangsamoro government, friends, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, and good afternoon. As a backgrounder, the Cabinet Committee and its Technical Working Group, composed of 3 lawyers, 2 policy researchers, and a technical consultant, have worked drafting this Cabinet Bill number 59 for more than a year. Series of public consultations with various stakeholders at the provincial level and dialogues with experts, including the Civil Service Commission, were held to solicit more views, comments, and opinions on the draft bill. Prior to the filing of this bill, the committee and the technical working group have reviewed the parameters set by the Bangsamoro Organic Law as well as the existing laws and issuances such as RA 6713 or the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for public officials and employees, the Administrative Code of the Philippines, Book 5 of EU 292, the 2017 Omnibus Rules on Appointments and Other Human Resource Actions or 2017 ORA-ORA as amended, and the 2017 Rules on Administrative Cases in the Civil Service or 2017 RACs and other issuances. These relevant civil service laws and issuances have become the legal framework in crafting our own Bangsamoro Civil Service Code of 2020, which it is hoped will pave the way for the professionalization and institutionalization of the whole bureaucracy of the Bangsamoro government while addressing the legitimate needs of our people. In response to the request of some members of the panel for the TWG to discuss the framework and the salient features of this bill, as well as proposed revisions being forwarded by the committee, as a result of our consultation with the Civil Service Commissioners in Manila, may I request our Honorable Chair to recognize members of the TWG of the Committee of Cabinet Committee on Bangsamoro Civil Service Code, members of the TWG, Attorney Sukarno Abbas and Attorney Maimuna, and Brother Dat Sangkula. With the permission of our beloved Chair, may I request Attorney Ampuan to present the salient features of the Cabinet Bill number 59. Sukran, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Minister Silongan. The technical working group is recognized, and Attorney Ampuan is requested to make a presentation regarding the salient features of Cabinet Bill, the Bill number 59.
Thank you po, Madam Chair. Good afternoon po. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to our honorable MPs and to our guests for today's consultation. So ako po si Atty. Maimona Ampuan, isa po ako sa members ng Technical Working Group. Hello? Naririnig po pala ako. So, member po ako ng Technical Working Group for the Bangsamoro Civil Service Code po. So, bago ko po ibigay yung presentation na short presentation ko po on the salient features ng proposed Bangsamoro Civil Service Code, gusto ko lang po ding ipresenta yung mga limitations na faced or kinonsidera ng Technical Working Group sa pag-draft po nitong proposed Civil Service Code na nakalagay po sa Constitution, the Philippine Constitution, pati po sa BOL natin. So, yan po. So, nakalagay po sa BOL natin na ang Bangsamoro government meron pong authority na meron siyang kapangyarihan to exercise authority over the civil service. At nakalagay din po sa BOL natin na yung Bangsamoro Transition Authority ay pwedeng mag-enact ng Bangsamoro Civil Service Code, pero nililimitahan po, subject pa rin po siya sa constitutional mandate ng Civil Service Commission. So ang Civil Service Commission po ay isang constitutional body. Ginawa po siya sa Constitution na po, sa Philippine Constitution. Tapos, next slide po. Ayon sa Philippine Constitution, ang civil service po ay i-administer ng Civil Service Commission. Nakasaad dito na yung Civil Service Commission, ini-embrace niya lahat ng branches, subdivisions, instrumentalities, at saka agencies of the government. At ang Civil Service Commission National po talaga ang central personnel agency ng government. Next slide po. Nakalagay po sa BOL natin, RA 11054, specifically Section 39, Article 7, na ang Regional Civil Service Field Office po natin or itong Civil Service for BARM ay i-establish po or gagawin po siya, i-establish po ng Civil Service Commission. So ang National Civil Service Commission po ang mag-establish ng Regional Civil Service Field Office po natin. So sa second paragraph po ng provision na ito ng BOL, ang Bangsamoro government ay binibigyang kapangyarihan to enact civil service laws. Pero ang may limitation din po yun. Yung pag-enact ng law na to must be in accordance po sa mga existing national laws natin. So kung hindi po dapat i-enact siya in accordance with our existing national laws, also, dapat hindi siya in conflict sa Constitution, sa Philippine Constitution, national laws, pati yung mga existing national civil service laws, rules, and regulations po ng Civil Service Commission. So nakasaad din po sa provision na to, the third paragraph, na yung civil service na laws natin na i-enact must only govern yung 5 coverages po. First is the conduct of civil servants, qualifications for non-elective positions, adoption of the merit and fitness system, protection for civil service eligibles, pati po yung disciplinary authority ng Bangsamoro government sa officials and employees nito. So ito po yung mga limitasyon. Yeah, next slide po. So 5 yung coverage na nakalagay sa BOL at ito yung mga references na tiningnan ng technical working group na substantially inadapt din ng technical work na inadapt din sa Bangsamoro Civil Service Code dahil nga po doon sa mga limitasyon na nakalagay sa BOL pati sa Constitution. So dahil each of those 5 coverages po ay nakalagay as per book na po sa Bangsamoro Civil Service Code. So book 1 po ng proposed code ay yung conduct of civil servants. Second book po is qualification for non-elective positions at nakalagay na din po doon yung adoption of the merit and fitness system. And the third book po is on the protection of civil service eligibles. And the fourth book po na nakalagay sa proposed code natin ay ang ang procedure for disciplinary actions po. So yun po yung na-present ko na po yung mga limitations po under sa Constitution pati sa BOL mismo. So the next slide po ay yung mga salient features po ng proposed code natin. So ang first issue po ang first na in-integrate natin dun sa proposed code ay ang issue on localization. So under this basahin ko lang po yung in-insert natin dyan. It's yung phrase po na preferably residents of the region for regional employment or of the province for provincial employment. Ang intent po dito, this is a product po kasi nung mga consultation na ginawa ng committee sa mga provinces po sa buong BARM. So ito po yung isa sa mga clamor nila na bigyang konsiderasyon yung mga qualified applicants na nasa region. Opo, so localization. So hindi naman ibig sabihin po na hindi na i-consider yung outside of it, but those qualified po na applicant bigyan ng more consideration. Next slide po. On special examination for IPs po. So sa special examination for indigenous people, ito po yung isa sa policy kasi of the Bangsamoro government na maging inclusive tayo sa mga Moro at saka non-Moro indigenous people natin. Pero ang pagkakandak po ng special exam, we can only hihingin lang din po natin yan sa Civil Service Commission. Kaya ang nilagay po namin sa later part of this provision na ang pag-administer ng Special Civil Service Examination, i-discuss din po, pwede siyang i-discuss sa Intergovernmental Relations Body. Next slide po. And the third issue naman po, this is yung pagta-translate ng civil service forms into Arabic. Isa po ito sa mga na-discuss during po sa dialogue ng committee with the National Civil Service Commission na i-translate into Arabic yung appointment form at saka oath of office. So subject din po ito sa approval ng Civil Service Commission. Next slide po. Sa orientation of newly hired within the probationary period, ang in-insert po natin dito ay maging mandatory yung magkaroon po ng general orientation for newly hired employees po. Next issue po. On publication of vacancies, ang publication po ng vacancies natin ay 10 calendar days. Based po ito sa recognition na national government agency po tayo. Next slide po. Sa Madaris Teachers Eligibility po, nilagay po natin Article 75 na ang pagsaset o pagpo-promulgate ng rules and regulations po on regarding the qualifications, appointments, and promotions po ng Madaris teachers ay sa Civil Service Commission pa rin po siya. Pero based po siya sa recommendation ng Bangsamoro government. Ito po kasi yung nakalagay sa BOL na it is still the Civil Service Commission ang mag-promulgate ng rules and regulations regarding this po. Tapos, Article 77 po, this is on qualification pa rin, that if you see the last sentence of this article, so this includes Madaris education po sa education na definition, na this includes Madaris education as may be defined in the Bangsamoro Education Code po. Still on the Madaris teachers. Tapos, on the next slide, ito naman pong recognition of K-12 graduates, isa din po ito sa mga naging dialogue, topic sa dialogue with the National Civil Service Commission na i-recognize po yung K-12 graduates natin. Next slide. Sa CESO requirement po for third level eligibility, ang third level positions po in BARM, hindi po kailangan ng career executive service eligibility dahil po hindi po sila presidential appointees. Next slide po. Sa composition naman po of Committee on Awards, ito po ay nasa ora-ora na din. Ang pinalitan po natin dito ay kung sino yung ang composition po ng committee. So ang mako-compose po siya ng Senior Deputy Chief Minister po as chairman, ang Bangsamoro Mufti, representative holding a position of responsibility from an accredited non-government organization, and 2 representatives from organizations of the Bangsamoro government employees, 1 each from the second and first level positions to be appointed by the Chief Minister from the nominees of their respective boards. Next slide. Sa applicability of nepotism naman po, these provisions actually on nepotism, nandun na po ito sa ora-ora. Ang nilagay lang po namin in addition is yung head or chief of the bureau. So, Article 179, Article 180, next slide. And Article 181 are actually nasa ora-ora na po siya. Next slide. Pati 182 po, nandun na din po sa ora-ora. So on jurisdiction of disciplinary action po, ito po yung jurisdiction ng Chief Minister. Mayroon po siyang primary jurisdiction sa mga administrative cases po na filed or brought before for the office by any person against any official or employees of the different offices, agencies, commissions, or bureaus under it. It shall also have the same jurisdiction. So may jurisdiction din po siya sa Deputy Chief Ministers, the Bangsamoro Director General, pati heads po of GOCCs ng Bangsamoro Autonomous Region. And it is the Attorney General's Office ang mag-hear and try administrative cases na falling under po sa jurisdiction ng OCM. So thereafter, it shall submit its findings and recommendations to the Chief Minister po for final action. On Article 218 po, ito po yung jurisdiction ng mga different ministries and GOCCs po. All ministries and GOCCs with original charter, mayroon po silang jurisdiction over administrative cases and matters pa rin, filed or brought before it by the person against any of the respective officials or employees. So except those officials mentioned in the immediately preceding section. This article po, as well as our Article 217, nandun po siya sa book book 5 po ng proposed code under procedures for their disciplinary actions. Ito din pong solemn oath still under the procedure for disciplinary actions. So nilagay po siya as a procedure po. So a solemn oath shall be understood to mean a moral asseveration in accordance with the person's religious or cultural belief. So in the nature of an oath in the presence of a duly authorized person in connection with a pending case, to the effect that all statements or allegations made in relation thereto by the parties and or their witnesses are true and correct to their personal knowledge. So it is separate and distinct from the usual oath or subscription made before a notary public or person authorized to administer oath. So separate po to in a way that hindi po ito yung morals, hindi po siya yung moral governance oath sa administrative code. So this is a solemn oath as a procedure for disciplinary action. So kailan po ba siya required? So the proper disciplining authority at any stage po ng proceeding may require the parties to take a solemn oath if in his or her sound discretion such taking may facilitate or help him in asserting the truth in relation to a case pending before him or her. It shall not be mandatory for him or her to require such solemn oath, and the same shall not be conclusive proof as to the accuracy of the testimony or statement given. So Article 2, the next slide po. So ang mag-administer po ng oath na to is the Bangsamoro Mufti or yung duly authorized representative po niya, or those who he may duly authorize in writing po. So that is in case of Muslims po, it would be taken before the Bangsamoro Mufti. As to non-Muslims po or non-Moro indigenous people, ang mag-administer po ng solemn oath na to ay yung hearing officer po. So sa manner of taking, which is Article 239, kailangan po na yung oath na to ay makita po ng administering officer na naiintindihan po, fully understand ng pagte-take ng oath, yung consequences ng pag-take ng oath na ito at saka voluntary po sa part po ng magte-take ng oath yung pag-oath niya. So, ang pag-swear po or ang pag-take ng oath, kailangan po nasa dialect or lingwahe na alam nung person na magte-take ng oath at saka bibigyan po siya ng reasonable time para mag-reflect po doon sa consequence ng pag-take ng solemn oath na ito. So next slide. So sa magkakaroon po ng certification ng issue ng administering officer sa pag-take ng oath na under sa official seal ng administering officer pati with his signature is specify po under sa certification na to kung nag-take oath ba talaga yung the person or hindi siya nag-take oath. Nakalagay din dito yung place and date of taking oath. Pati yung observation ng administering officer, ilalagay din niya sa certification, and that certification will form part of the record of the admin case. Next slide po. So next slide. Ayan. So sa placement process during transition period, this is under the transitory provision of the proposed code. So the institution of a placement process for hiring of personnel during transition period, including the constitution of an interim Bangsamoro placement and selection board, shall be based on the approved transition plan. So there is already a BTA resolution number 90 on adopting, na ina-adapt and na ina-adapt yung interim composition ng RSPB. Doon sa regard sa moratorium for the Mujahideen, issue number 13, please. So the original proposition was to call it a moratorium, pero nung nandun, when the committee went to the National Civil Service Commission, ang napag-agrihan po with the National Civil Service Commission ay gawin po siyang temporary appointment for the Mujahideen. So na-file po yung Bangsamoro Civil Service Code. Tapos before po pala final itong proposed code, nag-usap muna with the national, and the national agreed with the temporary appointment, and nag-issue po yung National Civil Service Commission ng resolution dated na ni-release noong September 2020. So if ibabasahin ko na lang po yung part doon sa Civil Service Commission na resolution regarding this matter. Ang sabi po ng National Civil Service Commission dun po sa resolution, babasahin ko po, the Commission recognizes the intent to include a special provision for Mujahideen in the Bangsamoro Civil Service Code as a means for rehabilitation and development of the Bangsamoro government enunciated under Section 1, Article 14 of RA number 11054. So another, sabi dito, we believe that the 1-year limitation of a temporary appointment should be followed. The rules pertaining to the limitation on renewal, however, may be relaxed. Hence, in light of the proposal to have a 3-year period for the effectivity of the temporary appointment, the Commission allows instead a renewal of 3 times in the absence of a qualified eligible who is available. The Commission recognizes that allowing this proposed Bangsamoro Civil Service Civil Service Code provision with some adjustments would go a long way towards achieving the decommissioning of the MILF military force, which would invariably contribute to the attainment of lasting peace in the region. So temporary appointments po for the Mujahideen na who are qualified naman po but with no civil service eligibility. So on first level plantilla positions, salary grade 9 and below po. So hanggang dun lang po yung presentation ko. Thank you so much.
Salamat, Attorney Ampuan, for giving us the salient features of the bill. We will now go to the resource persons who have been invited to provide us with their inputs, their insights, their comments, issues, and possibly also hopefully recommendations para po sa pagpapaganda ng ating bill for the consideration ng Committee on Rules, which is the next step, no, after this consultation. So may iba-iba po tayong grupo, wag po malito ang iba because some of our resource persons are also members of the Parliament, but they carry a different identity at this point, being officials also of different organizations or units in an organization. So ang una ko pong tatawagin ay ang Tarbiyya Committee ng MILF at nandito po ang presidente ng committee ito, si Dr. Mike Abdullah, present here, no, physically present in this meeting. I'm not sure kung nandito rin po si Ustads Norden Hussein. Wala. Okay. So si Dr. Abdullah na lang po. So Dr. Abdullah, you have the floor po. Pakibigyan ng microphone. If they have a position paper prepared, pwede nyo pong basahin. Or kung wala naman po, ito ay para sa lahat ng resource persons. Pwede nyo pong ihabol ang nakasulat na position paper. Hanggang Biyernes po ay tatanggapin namin. Dr. Abdullah.
Auzubillahiminasyaitanirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Maraming salamat sa invitation. I'm representing Tarbia at medyo mahirap din magbigay ng mga suggestion kasi ngayon ko na nahawakan ito. But siguro ihabol lang namin yung aming makikita na magandang suggestions. So ihabol lang namin.
Okay, Dr. Abdullah. Ito po ay announcement para rin sa lahat ng resource persons na pwede po hanggang Biyernes yung nakasulat na position paper. Pero Dr. Abdullah, kung may gusto na po kayong tanungin kahit wala pa yung formal na position paper, pwede rin pong gawin natin ito ngayon habang nandito po ang mga pinaka-responsable sa pagtatrabaho, no, sa pagdadraft ng Civil Service Code. So kung meron lang po kayong iba pang concerns, kahit wala pa yung formal na written position paper, you may want to raise these issues now or questions. Batay na rin po sa narinig niyong presentation kanina, no?
Maraming salamat. Yung gusto kong marinig ay kasi itong madrasa ay mayroong
ngayon ay private. Parang namamatay ang...
So, pero yung binasa ko yung memorandum order. Yung guideline ng DepEd. Mayroong nakasulat na guideline ng DepEd na maaaring mag-assign ang superintendent ng mga teachers sa private madaris. So, ano kayang position ng civil service dito? Assigning teachers in public schools to private madaris. Hindi ko alam kung na-capture ba ng proposed bill na ito yung mga teachers that will be assigned in private madaris. Pangalawa, mayroong experience ang madaris sa private madaris na mga teachers, tapos once they pass the lit exam, they will transfer to public schools. So ang nangyayari ay nawawala ng magagandang teacher ang madaris. So sana meron tayong civil service rule na yung mga ustads na dati ay sa private madrasa, once they pass the lit exam, they will stay in that madrasa, and saka yung kanilang magiging incentives ay gobyerno ang magbibigay ng incentives. Kasi ang sinisilbihan din natin dito ay anak Bangsamoro, whether they are in public schools or in private schools. They are all Bangsamoro. So sana mabigyan natin din ng pansin ang problema ng madaris kasi we are serving Bangsamoro children whether in private or in public. So sana meron tayong ruling na lahat ng mga teachers na dati ay nasa madrasa, once they pass the examination, they will stay there, but their incentive will be provided by the government. Maraming salamat.
Hello. Parang humina. Anyway, okay na. So, i-clarify ko, Dr. Abdullah, no? Yung unang tanong ay, meron po bang nakalagay sa Civil Service Code patungkol po sa mga guro, mga teachers na nasa public, nasa who are public school teachers, tama po ba? But are assigned to private madaris. Tama? Or
Tama.
Apo. So how does the Civil Service Code treat those madaris teachers? So they are in public schools, tama ba? And then they are assigned to private madrasa by MBHTE. Tama po?
To be specific, dun sa private madrasa, yung accredited private madrasa, we are implementing K-12 curriculum plus Islamic education curriculum. So yung magiging assignment ng teacher na ma-assign doon sa accredited madrasa ay magturo ng Arabic subject, hindi Islamic subject. So yung pangalawang case ay yung teacher na nagtuturo sa accredited madrasa,
Private.
sa private. Tapos they are also teaching K-12 subject, yung Arabic subject. Once they pass the lit exam, they will transfer to public school. Naiiwan yung private madrasa. So ang request ng mga model ay sana gagawan natin ng paraan para ma-retain yung teachers na yun na pumasa ng lit, tapos yung kanilang incentives ay ibibigay ng gobyerno para hindi na sila aalis doon sa private madrasa.
Okay po. Sige, meron bang kasagutan ang TWG? So dalawang sitwasyon po ito. Yung una muna ang i-take up natin. Ang hindi gumagana ang mikropono. Ay. Attorney Abbas.
Kaya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Ang draft na Civil Service Code ay limited lang doon sa mga issues patungkol sa qualification, appointments, promotions, ng Civil Service Commission. Yung concern doon sa assignment ng teachers sa madaris o yung na-assign sa private school na magturo ng Arabic, then doon sa second issue na pag pumasa ng LET yung Arabic teacher, lilipat sa public. Itong concern na ito ay nasa concern ng MBHTE. Kung sa national pa ay nasa DepEd or sa CHED, kasi may mga regulatory functions din sila. So, we cannot incorporate that here kasi kani-kanilang domain yan. Kaya nga, sinabi natin dito na sa last paragraph ng Article 75, kasi makita mo yun sa Article 75 at 76, yung patungkol sa madaris, binanggit yung Bangsamoro Education Code. Kasi dapat personally, no, yung mga yan dapat doon sa Bangsamoro Education Code na napapaloob yung mga regulations diyan, pati kung ano yung mga process, nandun dapat yan. Doon sa paglipat, medyo mahirap yun kasi may choice ang isang tao kung saan magtatrabaho. Unless kung mayroong contract yung teacher sa government na halimbawa naka-avail siya ng benefit, halimbawa sa mga schooling, training, and out of that benefit ay magsaserve siya doon sa public. Kung wala yon, we cannot compel a person na doon lang siya magtrabaho kung gusto naman niya magtrabaho sa iba. Parang restriction of freedom na yun ng isang tao. So yun, kung dapat sana nasa Bangsamoro Education Code yan, may pakita, may sama.
Maraming salamat, Attorney Abbas. Yun po yung initial na response ng TWG. So ang sinasabi po nila mas Bangsamoro Education Code siguro mas ma-clarify itong mga matters regarding madalis teachers both in the public and then also in the private institutions. Pero kung gusto niyo po rin pong isama yan sa position paper niyo, we will still raise that in the Committee on Rules po. Meron pa po, Dr. Abdullah?
So gano'n lang, ihabol lang yung iba.
Sa Friday
Thank
po.
you.
Okay. Maraming salamat. That's Tarbiyya Committee ng MILF. Now we go to the League of Bangsamoro Organizations, represented by the Vice President for External Affairs, Mr. Emran Muhammad. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My first concern is about preference on the residents of the area in terms of appointment. I'd like to put emphasis on that because I used to be in the government for 28 years, and after pledging to be reporting to a particular area, though the appointee is not from that area, what happened is just a frustration because what follows is reassignment. Every person, the newly appointed person per experience used to request for reassignment or detail to a politician or to his place. So I'd like to put emphasis on that. That's very important. If we can do it, even a temporary appointment of a person who does not meet the full requirements, if we can negotiate for that, better. If he's a resident of the place, but he does not meet or she does not meet some of the requirements, and then he could be issued a temporary appointment until he passed the CSC examination, or after 3 years, as mentioned here, and then sorry for him if he continued to be, he cannot qualify for the position. That's for the preference for resident of the area for a particular position. That's very important for us. If you are from Maguindanao, and then you would be the first priority for Maguindanao, or also in the island provinces in that case. The second point that I saw here is about the special examination for IPs. I think we have to include in the definition of terms IPs, because it does not catch also. It says in Article 14, special examination for indigenous peoples in the BARM. Who are they? Do we have the definition in the article? I did not see it in the definition of terms. And who may qualify to be indigenous, to be IP? I heard that Yakan also IPs, not only Tiduray, Blaan, and so on. And in this case, if Maguindanao is not an IP, and then he would not be qualified to take the special examination that could be requested. And if this is granted, I would suggest that the number also of the special examination may be done twice a year for the next 3 years, because that would give them ample time and the opportunity also to really qualify for the positions mentioned in the administrative code. And also, that could also be the chance for the Mujahideen and the Mujahidat. By the way, in this provision also, I saw some in the introduction, Mujahideen and Mujahidat. We have to be consistent also with other terms that we have to mention. Gender sensitivity, madam. Mujahideen and Mujahidat. Okay, I see that balance also. So maybe I can have a response on this, on who are the IPs, and also because it mentioned also inclusive for Moro and non-Moro indigenous peoples. So, please.
Technical working group, may several issues raised. Una yung localization, pero mukhang hindi naman issue. He just wants to support and strengthen that provision. Second, yung special exam for IPs. Can we define daw the IPs and ano rin yung effect ng Moro and non-Moro IPs? And then yung special exam or yung civil service exam, if we can include the position that that the exam be conducted twice a year for the next 3 years. And then yung mujahidat to be included in all the other provisions and not just in some provisions when we refer to the mujahideen. Okay, so yung second siguro yung special exam for IPs, baka pwedeng mag-respond sa question na yon.
Okay, yung una, yung sa preference for hiring, nakuha yan doon sa mga suggestion, comments nung nag-conduct ng public hearing sa provincial na suggest nila na dapat ang preference yung taga roon. Tama yung observation mo na kung hindi doon galing, baka may tendency magpalipat. Mabail lang yung item, alis na siya. Kaya naisali yan. Anyway, that is just preference. Kung mga direct, nandun pa rin yung requirements na dapat na-possess na yung basic qualifications. Hindi ka naman pwede maglagay doon yung ikon mo yung preference kung hindi rin niya na-meet yung qualifications. Then sa IPs na hindi nakasama yung definition ng IPs sa code, pwede siguro isama yan.
Actually, ang isa kong tanong, since Moro and non-Moro, does it matter if we define or not? Since it will cover both the Moro and non-Moro. Anyone who is indigenous, I guess, would be covered by the provision.
I think there is a law that enumerates the IPs. Who are the IPs? I cannot remember that identification. And
wala po. In the BOL, you have a list of ethno-linguistic groups that are covered, but it's not an exclusive list. Even yung, we have to understand yung IPRA na kailangan nilang mag-define because in some areas, particularly of the arm before, hindi covered, walang NCIP to implement the IPRA. So, hindi ibig sabihin na kapag nakalista ka dun sa IPs under the NCIP, ay yun lang ang listahan. So, anyway, that's an issue being raised. We can include that for the deliberation po ng Committee on Rules. Unless may gusto pang sabihin si Attorney Abbas about this.
Wala na doon sa IPs kasi hindi naman talaga nakasali dyan. Pero pwede isali dyan kung yun ang gusto ng depende sa panel yan. Then sa mujahidin na word at ka mujahidat, we were thinking kasi pag sinabi mujahidin ay yung it is used in its generic sense na pag mujahidin kasama na yung mujahidat. Pero maganda na rin na ma-distinguish kung mujahidin, meron ding mujahidat para happy all.
Yes. Para klaro. And then yung...
Nandyan sa definition ng mujahidin refers to the legitimate members, open pa rin, women and men, close pa rin of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front and the Moro National Liberation Front duly certified by the chairman of the respective central committee. Napasok doon sa open and close pa rin na men and women. Kaya generic.
Yeah, but we take note of the recommendation.
Ma'am,
Meron
actually,
pa
sorry.
Meron pang isa na sinabi niyo po, yung twice a year. Pwede ba natin ilagay yun sa batas? Mukhang yun ang sinasuggest nila. That the civil service exams be conducted twice
Hindi
a
natin
year.
kasi pwede parang manduhan yung civil service, pangunahan, kasi sila ang may authority noon. Siguro meron tayo is mag-negotiate or mag-request sa kanila for that matter. Pero kung ilalagay natin dito, sabi nga nila, hindi sila pwede pangunahan dyan ng mga ganyan na issue.
Sige, Mr.
Sorry, I have so many concerns.
Sige po, that's the purpose of this meeting.
Before, nakita mo sa presentation ni Mai, the administration of special civil service examination will be discussed at the level of the intergovernmental relations body.
So doon i-negotiate na how often and where the exams will be conducted. Sige po, Sir Emran, go ahead.
Attorney, actually, I just mentioned that Mujahideen and Mujahidat because in the explanatory note, it mentioned the two terms. That's why I put it also. I re-mention it. I have to bring also another request from or query in this honorable chamber that can we also think of civil service examination for our asatids like what they have done in the Sharia? Because recently they had a Sharia examination wherein the Arabic language was used. And then to give also opportunity for our asatids, and then maybe, I don't know if it is still on the request or that could be part of the code, that there shall also be a special examination for our asatids using Arabic language for them to become also eligible public servants.
TWG, was that a matter that is in the code?
Ang civil service examination, exclusive talaga sa civil service yan. So hindi tayo pwede gumawa ng sarili nating examination in lieu of the civil service examination given by the civil service. Pero doon sa issue ng mga ustads, when we say asatids, the plural of ustads, actually sa Arabic, kung hindi doon sa, kaya nang nasabi kanina, kung hindi doon nakalinya sa mga ustads na nasa alive, na ang kanilang position ay parang teacher 1 at unique sa BARM, yung position, tayo ang DT ang magdi-determine kung ano yung qualification, paano yung manner ng pag-determine ng qualification, paano yung pag-secure nila ng mga requirements for the qualification. Kung yun ay unique sa BARM na wala doon sa usual or regular na plantilla ng national government at saka BARM.
On the qualifications, pero on the examination, it will still be Civil Service Commission.
Kung ang i-require ay civil service examination,
Yes.
civil service talaga yan.
Pero kung if you don't require Civil Service
Yes, kung
examination,
hindi i-require at mag-require ng iba, doon sa position na yon na wala doon sa national positions na usual na ina-applyan natin ay pwede sa level ng BARM at saka BPA. Pero kung i-require mo ang civil service examination, hindi pwede yan sa National Government Civil Service Commission.
okay, Mr. So, I think nire-reiterate lang since ang constitutional body na Civil Service Commission has that mandate to conduct the examinations, mga mahirapan tayong mag-impose in the Civil Service Code. Except for kung if there are positions that is going to be unique to the BARM and we require another set of exam, not civil service examination. Tama?
Yes. In addition, mayroon ding naging issue doon sa Dial Law with respect to the establishment of the review and testing centers in the provinces. So yun ang isa sa naging talking points. Ang naging response ng civil service ay ito. The Commission as a policy does not sanction the establishment of a review center. It can, however, act on a formal request for the conduct of a testing center depending on the number of examinees. The required financial and administrative cost that the Commission may incur in the security situation of the area for the testing centers. So, siguro doon sa
Areas
examination, ito testing centers pa lang.
Okay, so those are the issues na raise ni Sir Emran. Meron pa po ba, sir?
One last, sir. Is there any also possibility, just an inquiry from our CSO members? I am also a passer of the civil service examination for cultural communities. I passed that examination also. It was only conducted once. It was conducted once only. Hindi na naulit po. Can we explore also to revive that civil service examination for cultural minorities wherein we qualified for that? And then is there also a mention of a special case like the Rasul Bill, that since that this is now a special time for us as a result of the peace process, that we can also consider some mujahideen who experience also serving the CSOs. They have so many skills developed, and also with their experience in community works, that they could be given also the chance for to become at least even a sub-proof eligibility after setting some criteria by the CSC. So the CSO is requesting also to consider their experiences like those in the barangays before in the Rasul Bill. So maybe the technical working group also can discuss that and find way. They said that the CSO is saying that since that we are in the transition, we have to think outside of the box. Thank you, ma'am. Later on, I can comment on the solemn oath taking. Sir.
Pareho po ng issue, sir. Kasi kung hindi, pasagutin ko muna doon sa issue.
Related to the issue.
Sa civil
The
service.
eligibility, yeah.
Okay, sige po.
Recently, we have this issue on civil service eligibility. Merong creative plantilla position sa Madares. Pero nakasaad sa criteria, dapat yung applicant ay civil service eligible. Pero ang naging problema dyan ay paano natin mamonitor yung quality of education doon sa Islamic education. Na kung saan lahat ng mga qualified may civil service ay karamihan ay secular education ang natapos. Walang ustaz na civil service eligible. Yeah, for instance, who will supervise the teaching of Quran? Who will supervise the teaching of Sirah wal Hadith? Kung secular ang andyan. So ito yung naging problema namin, nakikita, who will supervise this program? Hindi kaya ustaz o kaya secular ang education ang natapos ang mag-supervise. Sa amin, ang appropriate na mag-supervise ay yun ang kanyang linya. Yung nakatapos, yung master yung Quran, na master yung Sirawal Hadith, master ng Fiqh al-Aqidah. So ang problema, walang ustaz na civil service eligible to supervise this program. Anong kayang gagawin natin dyan? Maraming salamat. Quality.
Sige. Attorney Abbas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Una yung sa sa examination. Tama si Engineer Imran. Nung bago pa ang ARM, kasi nung na-establish ang ARM, kami ang unang graduate sa college. So ako, nag-exam na rin pumasa rin ako dyan sa cultural community na ina-offer ng civil service. Pero ang exam, kasi nung hindi cultural communities, mahirap pa rin siya. So, nasa sa civil service pa rin yan. Kung halimbawa, ang BARM na mag-administer sila pa rin ang mag-decide kung pwede yung i-grant yung request o hindi. Kasi pag sa exam talaga, sa kanila yan na domain. Then doon sa Rasul Bill, isa yan sa talking points ng dialogue ng civil service. Ito ang answer ng civil service. As expounded by Commissioner Ronquillo, the Commission of that the operability of the Rasul law had already ceased. Hindi na siya magamit after its enactment and therefore cannot be used anymore as one of the legal bases in the provisions cited in the proposed code. Kasi nung una, sa draft ng code, in-include namin yung Rasul Bill. Pati eligibilities na mga pwede maliban sa CS proof and sub-proof. So, response nila nung doon sa nakita nila kasi ng corporate namin. So sabi nila hindi na pwede yan kasi wala nang legal basis. Sabi ni Commissioner Villarosa, first suggested for the Bangsamoro to lobby with Congress to pass a similar law that would benefit the Bangsamoro. So yan yung reply nila doon sa issue na yan.
So in short, parang
sa section 18 on Madaris educational system sa BOL RA Public Act 11054. Sabi na dyan, in the case of Madaris teachers, the Civil Service Commission shall promulgate rules and regulations to set the standards for their qualifications, appointments, and promotions.
in response kay
Yeah.
in
Dun,
response.
yes. Doon sa issue ni Dr. Mike, babalik pa rin tayo doon sa response kanina na doon pa rin yan
Sa civil
dapat
service.
sa Bangsamoro Education Code na kung ang position ay wala doon sa plantili na ina-applyan ayun ay unique sa Bangsamoro, pwede mag-create ang DTA or parliament ng batas patungkol doon na tayo magdidetermine ng qualification. Pwede siya ipasok actually kung siguro kung explore, pwede siya ipasok doon sa highly technical na position. Kasi hindi naman lahat pwede makaturo ng Arabic at saka English. Pero hindi na doon sa civil service ang magiging basis. Doon na sa Bangsamoro Education Code.
Okay. Okay na po. Imra. So, yes, please.
Actually, ma'am, related to that, Madam Chair, the issue of Sir Mike. There was an experience in the Department of Education before. An ustads who applied for as a live teacher, he has the necessary knowledge and skills on the Arabic language and Islamic values. But here comes an applicant who is a let passer, but doesn't know even Alif Bata. And the education department appointed or hired the one who passed the let examination. And I agree with Sir Mike that our quality of education will really suffer if we cannot find ways that our asatids also who are learned and who can lead and supervise according to Sir Mike, some of the subjects that are by nature the people that should be hired should be from the madrasa or madaris itself and those who are really learned in Arabic. So I agree with Sir Mike. Thank you.
Sige po. We take note of all these matters and mukhang ang lumalabas, may tatlong posibleng sagot sa iba-ibang situation. Una, may sinasabi ang Civil Service Commission that or the BOL, for example, which says that yung qualifications, for example, of Madaris teachers should be negotiated with Civil Service Commission para maglabas po ng sarili nilang rules regarding the employment of Madaris teachers. Pero hindi natin mailagay sa batas na ito na ang qualifications. We have to lobby with Civil Service Commission for them to issue a set of rules regarding the employment of Madaris. Yung isa naman, kunyari yung sa Rasul Bill, it has to be filed with Congress. So a national law, not a law to be passed by the Parliament. And then yung sinasabi ni Attorney Abbas kanina, if there are unique positions, then that's where the BARM may set certain qualifications para dun sa unique positions na yon na hindi nag-a-appear sa list of positions sa national level. Sige po.
Sorry ha. As a technical person also, I would ask who will do that? Who will do the requesting later? Is it the Parliament or the Office of the Chief Minister?
Request sa Civil Service?
No, Congress to pass a bill related similar to that of the Rasul Bill. Yeah, so that is just wondering who will do the requesting for that bill. Maybe a group of people can draft the proposed law, and we can find a champion there as we used to have in lobbying. And also, aside from barangay officials or municipal officials who are not eligible and then who would qualify for that proposed bill, we ask also that some of the experienced persons from the CSO can also be considered, not only being an official of the barangay or the municipality. So we can also include some provision that CSOs who may also qualify or even experience that barangay or municipal officials. So thank you very much. If that could be
Sige
considered.
Po. Noted, sir. Wala na po. Can we move to our next resource person from the Social Welfare Committee? Ma'am Norsalam Bago. You are recognized, ma'am. Okay, unmute na lang po. Kung meron po tayong position paper, basahin natin. Kung wala po, hindi pong ihabol. Pero kung may iba pang concerns po na gusto nyong masagot ngayon, pwede rin po nating erase na ngayon. Ma'am Norsalam, kayo po ay pwede nang mag-intervene.
Magandang hapon po. Maraming salamat po, Madam Chairman.
Din po. Assalamualaikum. Go ahead, ma'am.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ang isa sa observation po namin doon sa documents ay karamihan po ay na-bring up na ni Sir Imran. So isa yung localization po na kailangan din natin makonsider. So far sa talakayan kanina nakita namin na medyo wala namang problema. Pangalawa po, kasi marami po sa SWC ay consider or na-employ sila doon sa Madaris. So, gusto ko rin, isa sa note po namin, paano po yung eligibility o di kaya yung may special examination ba na ma-eligible yung mga teacher na kagaya nga ng sinasabi ni Sir Emran na gaya nung sa Sharia na merong questionnaire na in Arabic na at the same time meron silang binigyan sila ng pagkakataon o time na ma-review sa kanila yung standard examination din sa sa Philippines pero naka-translate lang siya sa Arabic. Pangatlo po, yung sinasabi natin na I really like yung pag-express po ng mujahidin at saka mujahidat. Kasi yung SWC ay minsan hindi nasasali doon sa pingkumbatan kasi doon sa mga definition of terms ay hindi nai-include usually yung women at sa women sector at saka yung SWC. So pagdating naman sa employment, sa definition of terms po yun. Pagdating naman doon sa employment po, maraming mga case sa SWC na like yung sa mga sa health committee na maraming mga nurses, maraming mga midwives na hindi po nila na-take up o hindi sila nakapag-exam dahil nga nag-full time sila sa sa MILF. At the same time, yung iba sa kanila ay nagkaroon ng experience, actual experience, hindi lang dun sa contribution sa kombatan na medic, kundi dun mismo sa CSO na yung sinasabi kanina. So, ina-appreciate namin na makita dun sa, ma-emphasize dun sa document po. Pero yung further na document, titingnan namin sa Friday kung makahabol yung mga iba pang mga suggestions at recommendations.
Okay, ma'am. Sige, thank you po. We will hintayin po natin ang mga nakasulat ninyong mga posisyon sa iba-iba pong issues na napapaloob po sa Civil Service Code. Yung iba naman ay na-mention na kanina so hindi na po natin uulitin yung pag-discuss but we take note of the concerns po na ni-raise niyo po ngayon. And we look forward dun sa nakasulat pang posisyon sa on or before Friday kung meron po.
Okay, thank you.
Sige po. So can we now move to MP Muhammad Pa, representing the Da'wa Committee? Sir?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ang concern ko lang, ma'am, no, itong mga brothers natin, mga ustads ay paano naman mag-avail sila sa pag-serbisyo sa gobyerno natin. Kaya ang nakita ko, siguro mas maganda hanapan natin ng paraan paano may translate ang mga questions sa civil service sa Arabic language para naman maka-avail sila. Kasi kapag may translate yung mga questions sa civil service ng Arabic, pwede naman, mayroon panahon, may chance na mabigyan natin sila ng panahon, maka-avail sila sa examination. Para naman, gaya ng ginawa ng Sharia. Sa Sharia, ginawa ng Sharia o ewan ko, sa Supreme Court, i-translate yun mga question sa pamamagitan ng Arabic language. Ito mga question. So kaya siguro wala naman siguro sagabal, wala naman, hindi pwede yan. Kasi nagawa ng Sharia. Bakit hindi natin nagawa sa civil service? I-translate ang lahat ng question sa civil service sa pamamagitan ng Arabic para naman mga kapatid natin. Kawawa sila. Talagang sacrifice sila during the time of the prayer. Subhanallah. Kaya dapat natin hanapan ng paraan para naman maka-avail sila sa pag-exam sa civil service para mabigyan sila ng panahon. Yun lang suggestion ko, Mr.
Okay, sir. At kung meron pa pong dagdag kayong mga issues or even sa issue na yan, pwede rin pong isulat natin sa Friday in relation to your representation sa DAWA Committee. Pero yun, mukhang nasagot naman na rin kanina na yun din po ang gusto natin, kaya lang dahil ang Civil Service Commission po ang nag-administer ng civil service exams, ito ay isang bagay na kailangan nating trabahuhin with the Civil Service Commission. In the same way na ang Supreme Court, nung ginawa po nila ang exams for Sharia bar, ay kinailangan din pong ipaliwanag yon sa kanila, no? And hopefully the Civil Service Commission will also understand na yung asatids natin, dahil sila nga po ay experts in Arabic language and Islamic values, it makes sense to conduct or to administer an exam in Arabic language. Pero kailangan pa po natin yung trabahuhin. We cannot put that in the code itself, no? So okay na yun, sir? Wala na po. So pwede po ba tayong pumunta na kay Councilor Al-Rashid Ali Umpa of the Integrated Sharia Bar of the Philippines? Bigyan na lang siya ng microphone po. Sir, you are recognized.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ma'am, allow me to remove my mask. My representation here is confined only on Sharia eligibility. Before that, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Sharia Counselor Ali Al-Rashid Umpa. I'm a graduate of Bachelor of Laws. I work as a supervising political officer under the office of MP Pandumasani. And I'm proud to say that I'm a Mujahid under the leadership of Commander Abu Hanif, known as Commander 44. I'd like to reiterate that my representation here is confined only on Sharia eligibility. Sharia eligibility is provided for in the proposed Bangsamoro Civil Service Code, Article 117, that passing the third examination held in January 2014 and the Sharia bar examination thereafter shall be considered as an eligibility appropriate for appointment to first and second level positions. Under the second paragraph, it is stated that passing the Sharia bar examination held prior to the 13th Sharia bar examination shall be considered as appropriate appointment to first level positions. The above law has been copied verbatim from the 2017 Omnibus on Appointments and Other Human Resource Actions, otherwise known as ORA. In February 1, 2012, the Civil Service Commission, pursuant to its promulgated decision, number 120091, referred passers of the Sharia bar examination career service professional eligibility. Thus,
Sir, palitan nyo na lang ang mic because we...
Thus, passers of Sharia bar examination prior to 13 Sharia bar examination have been divested of career service professional eligibility pursuant to the above-mentioned ora-ora. And their eligibilities were downgraded to first-level positions. This constitutes as discriminatory and violative of the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution that guarantees that laws will treat alike persons who are similarly situated and treat differently those who are differently situated. All passers of Sharia bar examination must be treated alike because they are all similarly situated. Hence, eligibility of the passers of Sharia bar examinations prior to 13th Sharia bar examination must be restored to eligibility appropriate for appointment to second-level positions. Now, this BTA, through this panel, is afforded the opportunity to right the wrong that has been committed to the Sharia counselors who passed prior to the 13th Sharia bar examination. So we hope that this issue be included in the key issues to be addressed. Because as a Sharia counselor, this proposed law and this law provided for in the ora has deprived us of our right to be promoted to second level positions. And that's all, ma'am.
Sige, sir. So you have a written position, no? We will ask for a copy of the position paper read earlier by by Sir Umpa. And we take note of the matter regarding eligibility to second level
2011.
positions. Yun yung kanilang question. Does the TWG want to comment on the matter?
Matagal din namin to pinag-usapan nung pinakraft namin to. Kasi ito, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, may Supreme Court decision patungkol dito bago naka-arrive sa ganyan. So, hindi namin tinouch yung portion na yan. Kung ano yung nasa ora-ora, yun na rin ang kinuha namin. Kasi it is not within our domain to change that. Sa National Civil Service pa rin yan. Pero siguro sa face-to-face with the civil service, baka pwedeng erase yan sa kanila. Pero ang naging kwan dahil meron, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, may Supreme Court decisions naging issue na kaya nailagay yan dyan. Hindi ko lang matandaan kung nabasa ko yun, pero hindi ko na matandaan yung kwan na yun. Yes.
Yes. So, for at the moment, ganun po ang sagot ng TWG. But as I mentioned earlier, these matters that you are bringing to the table will be raised at the committee level. And the committee will have to deliberate dun po sa mga issues na nire-raise ninyo dito. Okay. The idea is to enhance the code, the bill, given the inputs coming from the different stakeholders as well as the members of the parliament. Sige po, kunin na po namin yung papel. Councilor, pwede pong mabigay na lang sa secretary. Okay, so can we now go to UBJP? Sino po yung nagsalita? Yung UBJP? Do we have Director Abdul Wahab Mitimbang?
Hello. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Madam Chairman, Tony Raisa, Jury, Vice Chairman, Minister Simo. So, alam mo, I was surprised because I was invited as guest for this Bangsamoro Civil Service School. Proposed Bangsamoro Civil Service School. Isa lang ang kuwang ko dito. I'm also preparing, while you are talking, I'm also preparing my recommendation. Isa lang ang gusto ko mambanggit dito regarding yung mga moratorium period. Kung pwede ba ito increase? Instead of 3 years, gawin natin ang mga 10 years. Halimbawa, kasi para mabigyan ninyo na, halimbawa, certain Bangsamoro na members ng MILF, degree holder, pero paano siya? Hindi siya nakatake ng civil service. Sa loob man siya, paano siya makatake? So, i-appoint siya ng certain position. Halimbawa, chief of division. Qualified man siya. Paglagay natin MPA, pero walang eligibility. Ito ang problema natin sa Pilipinas talaga eh. Kahit anong ka-bright mo, one mo, wala kang eligibility, hindi ka ma-appoint. So sa akin, ganito, bigyan siya ng 10 years moratorium period. So, halimbawa, i-appoint siya ng chief of division, a certain Bangsamoro. So after 10 years, bigyan siya ng exam na yun din ang ibigay na exam sa kanya yung certain task niya sa opisina. Halimbawa sa MENRI, halimbawa sa DOST, MOST, yun din ang ibigay sa kanya. Kung hindi siya papasa, pwede niya siya tanggalin. Kasi parang bigyan siya ng chance ba na mag-study. Kasi mahirap talaga na galing ka sa loob, na pagkatapos makuha ka sa government, hindi ka guys sa atin, sanay naman tayo sa gobyerno, sa kalakalan ng gobyerno. Pero itong mga tao, hindi na sila sanay. Pangalawa, may comment ako dun sa Madaris ba? You know, during President Marcos time, nag-issue siya ng PD 1083, the Muslim Personal Code. So, inallowed yun, Sharia. Matrap yun, Sharia code. In spite of that, we were in the OMA at that time in 1980-82. Sa OMA ko noon, I'm member of the technical committee. Nagkaroon ng PD 1083, the Muslim Personal Code. Inallowed yun mga ustadis. Yun ang sabi ni Juan kanina. Sabi ni Imran na bigyan ng pagkakataon ng mga ustadis na mag-exam sila aside from the civil service rules para ma-qualify din sila na that eligibility will be, if tingin natin sa national government o the Civil Service Commission na yung eligibility na papasa sila ay ma-carried out din sa DepEd o sa ating MBSTS o ma-carried natin. Kasi itong mga ustad, you know, for your information, itong beginning of the jihad natin, alam niyo yan. Kung hindi itong madaris natin, madrasa natin, I think walang itong jihad natin, ito mga sabi na traditional madrasa. Kaya ngayon, sa atin hindi natin sinasabi na sa atin ng gobyerno. Although hindi natin itong gobyerno natin ngayon parliamentary, dapat exert natin masyado itong parliamentary government. Kasi hindi ko naman sinasabi na hindi natin paniwalaan ng mga national laws. Pero dapat the BTA should think of broad think that dapat little by little maalis na tayo sa poder ng national government. Hindi ko sinasabi na mag-independent sa'yo. Pero hindi mo nakuha yun na noon. Sabi nila, the approval of 11054 is the next to federal government. Yan ang sinusulong ng presidente ngayon. Kaya ngayon, ikuha na natin talaga sa sarili natin na itong parliamentary government. Hindi pwede. Narinig ko pa ito. Narinig ko, I do not know how true is this. Meron kayo na na-appoint dyan ng mga appointments dyan sa civil service, ayaw nila i-attest. Kasi yung mga minister daw ay hindi sila na conform sa commission ng appointment. Pakaitinit niya yung mga civil service commissions. Na itong gobyerno natin ngayon is parliamentary. It does not need a appointments which conform by the commission ng appointment. Hindi kagaya sa amin, sa DARA ko noon, hindi first DARA secretary, na kinonfirm kami. Kasi yung gobyerno natin ay presidential, ito parliamentary, hindi na digos. Halimbawa, si Raisa, the Honorable Madam Raisa, Judge Jury, paano i-conform siya na membro din siya ng parliament? I-conform niya ang sarili niya. Dapat maintindihan ito. So, yun lang ang komento. Dapat bigyan ng 10 years moratorium yung mga i-appoint sa farm. Kung hindi sila papasa, after 10 years, like 10 years ka sa opisina, hindi ka papapasa sa examination, dapat tatanggalin ka na. Kasi yung mga madaris, bigyan natin silang lugar na magkakaroon sila ng civil service sa eligibility. Kaya yan lang patatandaan na the government is sincere for the Muslim. Thank you and wassalamualaikum.
Director Mitimbang, i-recap ko lang ang issue na nire-raise po ay yung, I think it's for the provision on the Mujahideen na instead of 3 years ay 10 years. Baka gusto pa ba nating sagutin TWG or na-mention na yun kanina? Para lang ma-explain kung ano yung status ngayon after the resolution ng Civil Service Commission. And then the second issue is yung eligibility din ng mga ustads na na-raise na po rin kanina. At ang general recommendation is to explore the areas where we can set our own rules. Hindi naman bumabangga, pero yung mga ano ba yung leeway kung saan pwede tayong mag-set ng own rules. So can we go to the first issue muna? Yung 3 years gawing 10 years, and then after 10 years, they will be allowed to take the examinations. And if they pass, then mukhang yun ang pinopropose yata.
Papasa siya. Okay. Kung hindi papasa, alisin siya.
Sige. TWG muna. Attorney Abbas, please respond to the issues raised. Baka hindi napindot. Sa ilalim. Wala. Ito na lang.
Hello. Actually, ang respond ng chairman ng civil service dyan, si Chairman Bala, ang matandaan ko 3 beses pa niya binanggit. Sabi niya, provided that it is within the transition period. Yun ang palagi niyang binabanggit, transition period. So, nag-iisip kami, kung doon sa transition period, ilang buwan na lang, ilang buwan na lang natira. So, kami ang naglagay ng 3 years. 3 years ang nilagay namin. Para at least kung sumobra doon sa transition, at least 3 years. Pero, dito sa resolution ng civil service, yes, 3-year period. Basahin ko na lang ha. The rules pertaining to the limitation on renewal, however, may be relaxed. Hence, in light of the proposal to have a 3-year period for the effectivity of the temporary appointment, the Commission allows instead a renewal of 3 times in the absence of qualified eligible. So, yun ang kanang civil service. Renew pa rin siya every year for 3 years. 3 times. So, pero kung papasa, walang problema. Pero kung hindi papasa, hanggang doon lang sa 3 times. So, siguro kung mayroon tayong naiisip na mas maganda dito, kasama na doon sa magiging issue doon sa face-to-face talk with the Civil Service Commission.
Thank you, Attorney Abbas. So yun po ang konteksto, Director Midtimbang. That was a matter that was raised to the Civil Service Commission at sinubukan po nating i-maximize kung ano man yung binigay po ng Civil Service Commission. But we can raise it again. Hopefully, if we are able to meet with, yung panel po will meet with the Civil Service Commission National Office. And if kung meron pa po kayong mga ibang issues, sir, you can write it down tapos ipahabol na lang po hanggang Biyernes po tayo magtatanggap ng position papers. Sukran. Can we now go to Aulad Bangsamoro Inc. Sir Burhan Rashid Ahmad. You are recognized, sir. Paki-unmute po ang sarili natin. Si Sir Burhan Rashid Ahmad, you are recognized.
Yes po, ma'am.
May paper po ba kayo or any statement regarding the
Opo,
civil code?
Okay po, ma'am. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Ako po si Burhan Rashid Ahmad. Ako po yung anak ni Commander Tara, Staff 90 po. Salo po yan sa office po ni Minister Aida Silungan sa MOST. So, kami po ay may inisyatiba na magkaroon po ng isang organization ng mga anak ng mga mujahidin dito sa Bangsamoro Homeland na nagkagawa na po kami ng mga objectives po, purpose, and then meron po kaming gusto lang po ipahayag o gusto lang po namin mangyari. So ako po ay nagagalak dahil nandito po ako sa inyo at nakita ko po kayo at invited po ako sa Zoom meeting na ito. Meron po ako dito, mga i-share ko po na ito po ay mga objectives po namin. Based po doon sa first and second strategic planning po namin. Dito po. Wait lang po. Ipapresent ko lang po. Pasensya na po. One po, sir, wait lang.
Is I think 3 other members of the panel who came in after the roll call. MP Ampatuan, Majority Floor Leader Lanang Ali Jr. and Minority Floor Leader kanina pa pala. So MP Ampatuan and Majority Floor Leader Ali. Go ahead, Sir Burhan. You still have the floor.
Na lang po, ma'am. Yes po, ma'am. Hello po, ma'am. Hindi po kayo marinig, ma'am. Hello po?
Sige, sir. Pwede po, diretso niyo po yung inyong statement.
Sige po. Okay, one po ma'am, ang naglalagay po sa objectives po namin dahil una-una po ay gusto po namin gumawa ng history ng mga mujahideen at upang ang mga next generation po ay makita nila or malaman nila kung ano ang history ng mga mujahideen at upang makuhan sa kanilang puso at isipan kung ano yung pinaghirapan ng mga magulang namin at mga mujahideen. So pangalawa po ay gusto po namin na magkaroon po ng boses ang mga anak ng mga mujahideen, hindi lang sa kanilang komunidad kundi pati na rin po sa buong Bangsamoro. Pangatlo po ay gusto lang po namin hilingin na sana po ay mabigyan po ng magandang buhay yung mga anak ng mga mujahideen na nakikita po namin ay hanggang ngayon ay naghihirap din po sila. Then pang-apat po, yung mga anak ng mga mujahideen ay dapat i-priority sila kung ano yung mga kailangan ng kung ano yung kailangan nila. So kami po na mga anak ng mga mujahideen ay malaki po ang expectation namin na magkaroon po ng magandang programa ang Bangsamoro government sa amin. So yun lang po yung siguro yung partial na objectives namin dito sa paggawa po namin ng organization at hopefully po ay matulungan niyo po kami. Maraming salamat po.
Na gusto at erase level.
Hindi marinig.
Naririnig po po ng mga mujahideen. Thank you. Who represented by its Secretary General, Sheikh Abdul Hadi Gumander. Sir, you have the floor, sir. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Unang-una, nagpapasalamat kami sa chairman ng Bangsamoro Civil Service Group at saka si Sister Attorney Raisa at saka Minister Aida Silungan at saka lahat ng mga participants o mga representatives ng different sectors and standing committee of Imaile. Ikalawa po, inimbitahan natin ang mga kasama natin ng mga ulama, especially those Assistant Secretary General, Assistant Secretary General. Sa katauhan ni Sheikh Sachin Dato, Assistant Secretary General for Administration and Finance sa Hayat Ulama al-Muslimin ng Philippines. When we talk about the Hayat Ulama al-Muslimin ng Philippines, ito yaon ang Organization of Muslim Scholars in the Philippines. Ikalawa po si Dr. Muhammad Nadir Ibil, siya ang Assistant Secretary General for Religious Affairs and Scientific Research. At saka si Sheikh Ismail Tuanadato, siya rin po ang Assistant Secretary General for Internal Affairs, at saka si Sheikh Badi'uzzaman Salyaw, Assistant Secretary General for Religions Affairs, at saka mga kasamahan ng mga ulama, upang sa gayon po ay mapag-usap-usapan din namin kung ano ang nararapat na makita namin na posisyon ng especially the Hayat Ulama al-Muslimin ng Philippines para po sa pinag-usapan natin ngayon, Mr. Chairman. Unang-unang nakikita namin ang pwede namin mapag-usapan lamang kasi actually we have no background sa Bangsamoro Civil Service Code. Hindi po namin nakita kundi ngayon pa lang. At saka hindi namin alam na mayroon po kami may ambag sa pinag-usapan natin ngayon. Ang nauna lang po na dati naming napag-usapan sa mga kasamang mga ulama, I think since September 2019, nagkaroon po kami ng mga meetings, several meetings, especially this meeting together with the all the secretaries or chairmen of the Hayat Ulama al-Muslimin of the Philippines in the different provinces. So isa po sa nakita namin na at yun ay napagkasunduan namin dahil po sa mahirap ikumpara ang edukasyon ng mga ulama ng Pilipinas. So we cannot see that ulama will be entering to exam. Mag-exam sila. Hindi pwede na mag-exam sila ng civil service. Gawa ng hindi sila nag-aral. Kadalasan sa kanila kahit dito rin nag-aral, pero ang curriculum nila ay either Arabic literature o kaya ay Islamic values tulad ng nababanggit niyo. So hindi pwede sa tingin namin hindi pwede na isabak natin sila sa civil service. Pero kailangan natin ma-solve kung ano po ang gagawin natin sa kanila. Kasi include sila, kasama sila sa mga mga kasamahan natin sila. Kung pag-usapan sa struggle, kung pag-usapan sa katulad ng isinusulong natin, moral governance, sa tingin natin Chairwoman, we cannot achieve the moral governance without the participation or strong participation of the ulama. So, ibig sabihin, kailangan natin talaga sila. Pag pinag-uusapan ng para maging panatag ang ating government, kailangan natin talaga yung mga ulama. So, according sa kung paano sila makapasok, so isa sa nakita namin at ito ay naikonsulta namin kay Attorney Abbas. Attorney Abbas, I think naririnig niya ako. Minsan we invited him to attend sa isa sa mga meeting namin with the chairman of from different provinces. ang nakita namin, pwede makatulong ang Hayatul Ulama'il Muslimin bil Philippines para po sa mga kapatid na mga asatiz o mga ulama sa pag-equivalent, pag-certify, pag-issue ng equivalency certificate. Once, napag-usapan namin kay yung previous or former chairman ng CHED na si Dr. Amor Pindaliday, hanggat sa nakagawa kami ng MOA, Memorandum of Agreement. Sa side ng CHED ay pinirmahan niya, pero sa akin hindi ko pinirmahan because inintay ko ang go signal ng ating Chief Minister hanggat sa yung kapatid natin si Abu Ansari, si Brother IQ, ipinadala ko sa kanya ang MOA sa pagitan ng CHED at saka Hayatul Ulama'il Muslimin bil Philippines. In brief, pwede makadumaan sa amin ang mga diploma ng mga ulama, mga asatids, lalong-lalo na yung mga diploma na galing sa iba yung dagat. Pagkatapos ay tingnan namin ang mga requirement, then pwede kami mag-issue ng equivalency certificate to CHED, and then pwede yun ang pagbatayan ng CHED, yun ang pagbatayan ng CHED yung aming certificate. Kasi pwede sa ngayon medyo malakas ang linkage namin sa iba't ibang embahada ng mga Muslim countries, higit sa lahat yung mga Arabic countries, katulad ng Saudi Embassy at saka iba pa. So isa yung nakikita namin. Ibig sabihin, kung hindi natin ba alam, pero kung pwede ang Hayatul Ulama'il Muslimin bil Philippines ay maging katulad ng PRC, ibig sabihin, kami ang gagawa ng paraan. Kami ang mag-exam sa mga ulama, kami ang mag-repaso sa kanilang mga diploma, and then pagkatapos, kapag yung legality process ay magkaroon, gayon din yung mga exam at saka pag-repaso sa mga diploma nila, so we can issue a certificate, equivalency certificate. Isa yan sa nakikita namin na baka pwede nyo pag-aaralan sa Civil Service Code. Ikalawa, hindi ko alam yung naririnig ko sa inyo na sinasabi niyong Russell Bill. Ito ba yung Magna Carta? Ibig sabihin, hindi man nakapumasa sa civil service, pero we can constitute a fundamental guarantee for those for the rights and privilege of those who participated in our jihad, especially in Islamic education. Similar to the issuing of Magna Carta for the teachers. Maraming nagsasabi sa amin yan, nagre-recommenda na bakit hindi pwede isyuhan ang mga ulama na matagal sila nagtuturo sa mga madaris, nagtuturo sa yung iba pa sobra pa ng 5 years. May lalampas pa ng mga teens of years sila nagtuturo. So bakit hindi natin sila maisyuhan ng document na tinatawag na Magna Carta? Hindi ko sure kung ito ba yung pinag-usapan. Hindi namin sure kung ito ba yung nababanggit niyo na Russell Bill because it was proposed by Senator Santanino Rason later. Isa pang pwede namin, ito lang nakikita namin, pero hindi namin alam kung ito ba'y manggagaling sa, pwede ba ito ba'y related sa Civil Service Code. Mayroon kaming nalaman na tinatawag na VRO, Values Restoration Officer. Ito daw ay legally pwede ito may pasok ang mga ustads, mga ulama sa BARM, down to the LGUs, kahit pa sa mga barangays, pwede tayo mag-appoint ng mga officers ng values restoration. Pero hindi namin alam, hindi namin sigurado kung ito ba. Pero lagi ko natatanong sa mga kasamahan ng mga may alam, mga katulad niyon na ito daw ay talagang legally pwede natin ito mapakinabangan. So ito lang ang nakikita namin na ikangay paraan upang sa gayon ay katulad ng mga inaagam-agam ng mga kapatid na bakit hindi natin matulungan o may pasok ang mga ulama o mga asatids. So ito ang nakita namin na pamamaraan upang sa gayon kahit paano ay hindi natin maiwanan yung mga kapatid natin na mga ulama. Gusto namin sabihin sa inyo in the name of Hayat Ulama al-Muslimin bil Philippine, medyo ano din kami. Minsan naririnig ng mga kapatid natin na mga ulama na problema ng BARM, they do not know kung saan nila ilagay ang mga ulama. Kung saan nila ilagay ng mga ulama. So sa tingin natin, gawa natin ang paraan, insyaAllah. Yun lamang at maraming salamat sa inyo. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Yes, sir. We take note of the issues na ni-raise po. Ang isa sa na-pick up ko po ay yung proposal na ang Hayatul Ulama ang pwedeng mag-issue ng certificate of equivalency, particularly for those who have studied abroad. Tama po ba, sir? Tama po ba yun?
Yes, Ma'am Attorney. Yes.
Pangalawa po ang na pick up masyado. You were asking about a
Magna Carta. Magna Carta. Magna Carta. Magna Carta.
For teachers.
For teachers, Arabic teachers.
Okay, so that will be another law, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Anything else po na civil service code, sir?
Yun nga, hindi natin alam yung pangatlo na values restoration officers.
Restoration
officers. VRO. VRO.
Sige. Sir, ang request ko na lang po siguro is po nating maisulat ito at lalo na po yung mga kunyari itong values restoration officer ma-explain ng mas mabuti saan po ang basehan niya, anong trabaho niya, etc. Kung maihahabol po natin sa Biyernes ang ating position paper, then we can include that dun sa report po ng panel to the Committee on Rules as one of the issues na na-raise po during the public consultation.
Inshallah. Inshallah. Thank you.
Okay, Sir Supran. Friday po ang deadline natin for all resource persons. Natapos po yung 8 grupo na nandito either physically or virtually. But I saw one group earlier. Nandyan po ba yung SEED initiative? Invited ba sila at meron po ba silang statement? Can you check dun sa list of participants? Wala na. So wala na. So we received the position paper of the Sharia integrated Sharia bar. And then we will wait for the written position papers to be submitted by the other groups on or before Friday po. Pero we now open the floor to MPs who may have specific questions para po sa ating resource persons?
Madam Chair.
MP Latif?
Thank
Para
you very
po,
much. Para sa resource speaker lang po.
yes, please. Apo.
Would like to ask po very shortly yung tungkol sa Madaris. I was thinking of having, if it's in our power in the Bangsamoro, of establishing a professional regulation commission, considering that the Bangsamoro Organic Law provides competency over labor, employment, and profession, regulation of profession. So much that if we can also look into the possibility as proposed by the different resource speakers here, pointing to one conclusion that we need our own professional regulation commission. So if it's within our power in the Bangsamoro Organic Law, which I think it is, because under the labor and employment, we have already been talking with the national officials, including the Secretary of Labor and Employment, on the PRC matter. So maybe we can include this as a one possible option exploration to have our own professional regulation commission that is uniquely for the Bangsamoro. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Okay. That will be for the committee deliberation. Meron po bang tanong sa mga address to any of our resource persons before we excuse them and discuss the next steps? Meron po bang MP na gustong magtanong sa mga resource persons?
Madam Chair, isa
Yes.
na lang po. Yung kanina, with regards to the conduct of officials and civil servants, I think the values restoration officer in its equivalent or commensurate official can be included in the draft civil service code. Because if you look into that matter, the regulation of the conduct and behavior, we have to define who is this Bangsamoro civil servant, what are the qualifications and unique values that he or she possess that makes her truly a Bangsamoro, a morally upright individual, so much that it can be distinguished also from other national laws, an additional value formation also. So I think that suggestion a while ago is very material for the purpose of amending some of the provisions on the conduct and regulating the behavior of our civil servants in the Bangsamoro.
Yeah, pang Committee on Rules po yun. Pero do you have any question addressed to any of the resource persons?
The one who, Madam Chair, the one who proposed the values restoration officer in the Bangsamoro must give us a short lang po. Ano po ba yung trabaho ng values restoration officer? One short lang na example.
Okay, can we hear from Sheikh Gumander? Sheikh Gumander from Hayatul Ulama. MP Latif would like to ask a question tungkol po dun sa values restoration officer. Ang mga gawa ng values.
Yes.
Yung ito po.
Pinag-uusapan namin ngayon na pwede namin tawagin, baka makapag-meeting kami sa yung mga alam namin na pwede makatulong sa amin. Actually, maraming nakapagsabi nitong tinatawag na values restoration. Isa na yan si Brother Imran, yung mga kapatid namin sa yung Lake LBO sila Professor Hasim Antikayan, pwede yan makatulong sa amin inshallah. And then may mga kapatid natin na mga Doctor of Education, sila Dr. Ting, sila Dr. Salam, baka pwede sila marating namin sila para sa gayon ay ito namang hinggil sa Magna Carta para mapag-usapan namin inshallah. Kung kakayanin namin, makasubmit kami ng position letter.
So ilalagay na lang po natin sa written position na isasubmit on or before Friday. Okay na, I'm Pilatif.
Inshallah.
We'll submit it in written form.
Can I also ask them a very specific information regarding what values do civil servants in the Bangsamoro should possess when they render services in the Bangsamoro? So meaning, can they also include that in their position paper so that the Bangsamoro Parliament can be guided on the inputs from the civil society on the essence of being a Bangsamoro civil servant?
Okay, Sheikh Gumander. Ang request po ay isama na rin po sa inyong position paper yung mga values na tingin nyo ay dapat i-embody ng civil servants. Maaari po ba yon?
Inshallah, actually, we have a research on the human values na hindi siya labag sa Islamic values. So, pwede makapagbigay tayo ng mga halimbawa ng mga values. Inshallah.
Okay, sir. Thank you po. We will await the position paper that you will submit on or before Friday. Thank you.
Okay.
Who would want to address any of our resource persons? Kung wala na po, then we will thank our resource persons, those who are online, and also those who came here physically to the extension office of the BTA Parliament. Marami pong salamat sa pagpunta ninyo, and to those who were not able to submit their position papers or present their position papers, mangungulit na lang po ang mga staff. We hope you indicated your cell phone numbers or contact details in the attendance sheet so they can follow up yung request po for position papers. Marami pong salamat. We will have a recess for 5 minutes and then short meeting lang po ng panel to discuss yung mga next steps. Thank you po again to those who are online and to those who came here this afternoon. 5-minute break. dun sa napag-usapan po natin na mga next steps after the public consultations na natapos po ngayon, we want to go back to the Civil Service Commission, particularly yung the commission itself, yung central office, para sa isang one-on-one session. Unfortunately, after nag-request ang office ni Minister Silongan, sumagot na po ang Civil Service Commission at babasahin ni Ma'am Aida ang sagot po sa ating request for a meeting on Monday. At tingnan natin kung how we can move forward.
Assalamualaikum again. Ito po yung sumulat po tayo sa kanila kahapon. After po napag-agrihan natin na by Monday, mag one-on-one tayo with the civil service. Nag-reply po si Chairperson Bala. Ito po ang kanyang reply. Dear MP Engineer Silongan, this is in connection with your request for online session. Chairman Bala has prior commitment. We regret she cannot attend the session. May we request also official communication stating the issues that you wish to clarify or address so that it can be addressed appropriately. Thank you, Office of the Chairperson. So ito po yung sagot ni Chairman Bala.
So, yun po ang problema po natin. While we said earlier that we want that one-on-one session with the Civil Service Commission, the chair is not available on Monday. May we ask other members of the panel kung meron po tayong ibang naiisip na...
Today, you're reporting on the mood within the White House as Trump still refuses to concede. Telling you what is the mood on Pennsylvania Avenue?
MP...
is that there's increasing concern among people who are around the president, who are inside the White House advisors,
Madam Chair.
at the campaign about his mood.
MP Tago, pwede pong paki-off yung radyo or TV that is...
spiraling into rage that he's not.
Yan po, good. MP Tago.
Madam Chair,
Po. Go ahead, sir.
Yung sa civil service, pwedeng para schedule. Pero if I may suggest, kasi hindi basta-basta sa pagkalam ko, civil service hindi basta-basta yan, especially the chair. Kasi yan ang nandun sa kanila lahat final decision. Hindi basta-basta mag-atin yan. Kailangan nila muna makuha yung mga issues. Kasi mag-aral din yan. Mag-study sila. Hindi nila basta-basta masasagot yung mga issues natin. Mag-study muna sila. So, kailangan may advance sa kanila yung mga concerns na dapat natin ipasagot sa kanila. Kung hindi man sila pwede sa one-on-one, teleconferencing, one-on-one, Zoom, formulate na lang tayo ng mga questions sa kanila na gusto natin ipasagot sa kanila. Kasi because of our limited time, kailangan itong Civil Service Code by the end of December. November pala, matapos natin.
So ang suggestion nyo, MP Tago, is for us to write down the issues and submit to Civil Service Commission? Tama po ba?
Yes, yes, Madam Chair, kasi para yan yata yung parang yata yung tinutukoy ng sulat ni Chairperson Bala. Kasi hindi basta-basta sila, hindi sila basta-basta mag-online na hindi nila alam muna yung mga issues na itatanong sa kanila.
Okay po. Although we note that they gave us the the response to our request after several months.
Madam
Yung
Chair.
Yung September 23 Omnibus Resolution ay in response to a letter which we submitted in July. So, ganun po, medyo, we take note of that. Medyo hirap din sila. Meron ding dynamics yata sa loob that affected the process. And ang end result ay several months or 2 to 3 months po bago nasagot ang ating mga tanong. Yeah, but we take note of that.
Tama po, tama po, Madam Chair. Pag questions talaga, may procedure sila kay unang-una dadalhin sa OLA. Din i-approve ni Ascom Ronquillo. Si Ascom Ronquillo. Din dadalhin sa Inbank. Ikakalender pa yan ng Inbank para regarding pag mga ganyang issue.
3 months.
Oh. So kaya matagal. So ang kon natin ngayon, if without the civil service appearing to us, yung civil service national, what will be our option? Yeah, in the approval of the civil service code. Supposing ang civil service national hindi sila available, ano ang option natin? Itutuloy na natin itong approval ng civil service code. Ayun tanong ko.
Yun po ang tanong ko, if there are ideas from the panel in lieu of that meeting which will not happen on Monday, meron po ba tayong ibang ideas? MP Latif.
Madam Chair, I as much as we would really want the National Civil Service Commission to be present on our questions, process, that they have to observe and protocols, and would probably make add to the delay in the adoption of our civil service code. So siguro, Madam Chair, what I can suggest is for this Rules Committee as well as the panel members to decide to proceed with the amendment by the committee on the level of the rules, not awaiting the National Civil Service Commission to grant us that one-on-one meeting. Kasi it would be really to our prejudice if we do that kasi we'll wait for them. And secondly, questions on that matter